Hello, my anxious kings, queens, and other royal beings. I wanted to talk about a subject that is near and dear to my heart. Full disclosure, because I am currently going through it myself. And that is the topic or concept of what if your OCD's worst case scenario comes true or happens. Um, I think some people might have the experience or fear that if that happens, that then their OCD or their anxiety would be like, "See, this was serious. You should have taken this seriously. You should have done these things. Why you should do these compulsions and you should continue to do these compulsions." Um, I would say that my current experience going through that, which I'll get into later, is the complete opposite, in which I don't think there's ever been a time since receiving treatment that I have ever been more grateful for ERP, and also the fact that I am receiving this news after doing ERP. I cannot fathom me in the thick of when my OCD was at its absolute worst in 2020 and 2021 related to this content. If I would have gotten that news then, I it's hard to wrap my brain around how it would have gone. And the way that it's going now, by no means is it easy or desirable. And I am able to move through this in a way that I don't think I ever, at any point in my life, would have thought was possible without ERP. So basically, at the peak of my OCD, all my content was related to health. My life, like over the course of months, became more and more consumed by OCD to the point that before I went to residential, I was completely agoraphobic. I couldn't leave the house, or if I did, I had to be accompanied by someone and for short stints. I was scared to walk down the street because what if I collapsed or something happened? I was not sleeping. I was doing compulsions hours through the night. I was going to the ER multiple times a week for weeks on end. Um, I had all these different medical devices I was checking nonstop, ruminating nonstop, reviewing, researching. So my life was absolute hell. I mean, it was just OCD 24/7 for a very long time. All of this related to what if something happens to me because of my health? What if I'm missing something? So I'm sure you can only imagine my surprise when then a couple weeks ago, I had some sort of episode in which I had these unique neurological um, sensations that I hadn't experienced before, which that line, if you know OCD, it's a classic one of my OCD loves to be like, no, 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 this is different. In this particular episode, I was like, I feel like these symptoms are unique, they're new, I'm going to go in. And through a series of tests, they discovered that I had a brain aneurysm in the back of my brain, um, and basically that there wasn't any signs that I was having a stroke or any sort of there was no rupture at this time, but I'd need to follow up, um, which I'm sure you can imagine as someone with a history with very, I mean, absolutely extreme debilitating health OCD. This was a very big ask for me, and I had to set a neurosurgery appointment that was a month away. When I was in treatment in residential, I had to, yeah, schedule an appointment to see a cardiologist to rule out something medical, and that appointment, I think, was like a week or away, and that week was torment for me. Like, my OCD tormented me, counting down the seconds, minutes, blah, blah, blah. You can only fathom that. I mean, I can't fathom that if I would have gotten this news before I did ERP, that you have to wait a month to meet with a neurosurgeon about a brain aneurysm that we know is there. Um, I can't fathom. And I think that's where I, holy moly, I am so grateful because in that month time that I had to wait for this appointment, I was part of rolling out an OCD IOP. Me and my husband are in the process of finishing buying a house, and I still lived my life and I lived it fully in a way that if OCD was controlling this situation, there was absolutely no way I would have been able to function. OCD wanted me to think about nonstop, to basically halt my life for an appointment that there was no way for me to speed it up. I've never been more proud of like myself and how much I've evolved as a person, let alone a person with OCD, to be able to get to the point that I was able to do all those things and live my life despite this news that would be hard for anyone, let alone someone with OCD. So anyway, finally that appointment happened a couple days ago, and I got news that I was really hoping not to hear, which was that um, the neurosurgeon was like, yes, this is something that we should intervene with. And for one of the very few times in my life, the medical provider had a sense of urgency, not me, or just like a sense of urgency that wasn't stemming from me. And I left that appointment, yes, very upset. No doubt. There were tears, trust me. And at the same time, nothing changed as far as like what I would be doing differently, right? I called and they're going to set me a date, and nothing that OCD wanted me to do or check or whatever could have or would have prevented this. And even if it had, even if whatever, it had found it much smaller or like earlier on, what I think that's the question I had to sit with in residential of, is that really what I'd want to be doing with my life, with my time? I've lived that. I've lived what it looks like to check your health, to do compulsions around the clock. And that was no quality of life. That wasn't a life. I was an empty shell of a human. Um, and that was something that I had to sit with, was possibilities of something coming up. The likelihood of something medical coming up for the rest of my life is not a matter of if, but when, right? And through these years that like since treatment, instead I've done all kinds of things, met all kinds of people, had all these different experiences that if I would have done what OCD wanted me to do, I wouldn't have even had a shot at. And it's worth it. ERP has made my quality of life one that is unrecognizable, to be honest, compared to what it was like before. And in the midst of this, is it easy? No. Is it desirable? Obviously not. Will I be wailing when it's the day of the surgery? Almost certainly. And at the same time, thank God that I got the treatment I did and that I'm able to be like, yeah, doing what I need to do, calling, scheduling an appointment, and I will handle this just like I've handled many things in the past. And whatever is coming, whatever happens, I'll address that then. Just like I did when I had this appointment, I found out I had to have the surgery, and I'll continue to do that. And I can trust that like I'm making decisions out of what I want and what is important to me and my values align with, rather than what OCD wants, what anxiety is telling me I need to do or have to do, or need to check. That's and I'm There's no better time to have me making the decisions and like my value system rather than fear than when actually addressing a situation that needs decisions to be made that are important to me. So